All right, perfect. Welcome back to another fabulous Friday night art class where we will be painting this beautiful. Oh, I didn't name it. This is like I don't know, a wine for two sunset view. That's a good one. That's what we'll call wine for two sunset view, and we will be using I have a magenta pink, purple, orange, yellow, black, and white. And we're using our three favorite brushes. We have the wide flat brush for the background, the medium round brush for blending, and the small detail brush. So let's get started with our wide flat brush, and we're gonna do a nice watery layer of pink across the entire canvas first. So the water helps to spread the paint and then allow us to have a nice first layer of coating here on our canvas. And it can stay pretty watery. Actually, it's going to help us blend the colors on the next step. Lovely. Apply one more little bit of water. So before any of this gets too dry, we have two other steps to this that you want to get to while this first layer is still fresh. So I do the watery pink, but the thing that I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna just get like a bit of purple on the brush. I'm not gonna clean it or anything, and I still have a little water, but not enough that it's dripping. So I just finished my layer, added some purple on top, like so. And then I'm just gonna give myself a little purple bar across the top. And we're gonna kind of repeat that line until it blends into our pink. So you should have a nice line from the purple that fades into the pink. So you could even use your finger like so if you want to blend it a little better. But your brush should be fine. Go ahead and blend that like so. So that's the first two parts of it. But before we get to the next part, after you finish your purple, you will want to clean your brush thoroughly and get all of the color and all of the water out for a second before we finish this background. Perfect. I might even this out with a little more pink at this line. I don't like how my line looks. Let's just blend this a little bit more, like so. That looks good. You want to just have a smooth transition from the purple into the pink. So once we have this, the last step of this first layer background is white. So I'm going to actually take that white while this is all still kind of fresh. And I'm going to start blending the white over my pink, but I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. That way, the whitest part or lightest color will be down here. And as I move my brush upward, that white's going to become fainter, making the topper part of our canvas more vibrant and pink and the bottom half more muted, like a light pink, like a baby pink. Now, if you need, definitely use the water to help you spread that layer of white. It'll only blend into the pink better. So you can see my lines. Perfect. And I can meet up here. So you can see that at the top, it's much more vibrant, closer to the magenta pink that I started out with. And then as you come down, it slowly becomes like a lighter baby pink here at the bottom. That's what you want. Lovely. Like so. Okay. I think this is looking good. Let's move on to the next section. We will lay down we'll do a couple of things. We're gonna put our wide flat brush to the side. Uh, should we? Actually, no. We're gonna use our wide brush a little bit longer. And I still have my white with my water and a little bit of that pink on there. I'm just gonna get a little more water, not a lot, and some purple. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make two vertical lines on the edges of the canvas. And then just slowly take my brush and push the pigment from those lines in towards the center of the canvas. But when I make those lines, I'm gonna start up here like a quarter of the way down from the top of my canvas so that I have that top section left for the sky. So that's where your sky is going to be. So it might be easier if you start from the bottom with the purple. And I'm going to do one side at a time here and just pull the purple all the way up to about a quarter of the way. Doesn't have to be all the way. And then from here, you can see without cleaning my brush or anything, I'm just turning it sideways and just pushing that color into the center. Very like light, gentle movement, very gestural, and they don't have to be all at the same length. You see how I'm giving it variety. Some strokes are like short, some strokes are longer. So you can play around with that part, but the point is to get the purple kind of blended towards the center. And it could be a little bit more so at the top, but it doesn't have to be. So that's the first side. That's the effect. Anyway, it looks really cool. So I'm going to repeat this on this side and try my best to match it. But when I do this side, my strokes don't have to be as long. They can be a little bit shorter because our sun is going to be off centered a little bit. So we can have a little less purple on this side. Allow me to demonstrate. So that's our purple line. And we just push the color in. Sometimes it's the simplest of things you can do to really make a painting look amazing. And we push that, and we're good. Perfect. Looking beautiful. That wasn't too many steps. We have a really good foundation. It's a great way to get it going for that little sunset over the water. You can do this with a bunch of different color combinations and it would still look really cool and realistic. Lovely. Well, now that we have this, we're ready for the next. So we are going to set our wide flat brush aside for a moment, and we're actually going to hop to our detail brush for a few, which is a change for us around here. And we're going to lay down the first layer of our sun, which is actually going to be white. And then we're going to actually do all these details on the water, which seem like they should come last, but we're going to do those first. So we're going to start from white to yellow, orange, just to get darker, basically from light to dark. So let's start with our sun, which is going to be towards the center of this open area we've created here. And I'm going to put it up higher towards this purple line, just a little bit below. And we could just start with a dot like so. And then you can just slowly kind of round it out, taking your time from side to side, or doing one side and then the other side, one side and then the other side. It's the easiest when it's small this way. So I think that's about round enough for me before I destroy it. So that is our setting sun, or the foundation. So now that our little dot is here and we know where that's going to go, we do have to let that layer dry before we put the yellow. So we're going to let her hang out until the end, and we'll put the yellow last. But now that I've placed that, I can actually start putting my lines in the water. And I'm going to start my line again, a quarter of the way down where my purple begins. And it doesn't have to be perfect yet. We will get a chance to perfect it in a little bit. But for now, I just kind of want to add in my lines mostly down the center. And I'm going to have more lines, or more of the lighter colored lines, towards the top. And I'm going to loosen them up towards the bottom and have them like a little more spread out, if that makes sense. So up here, they can be aplenty. And they can be wiggly or they can be straight. Either way, it will read. But the main thing is that you don't have it concentrated everywhere. You want some spaces to have a little bit less. So that's my white, at least for now. And I can always add more to it as I add the other colors. It's going to make more sense to you as you layer things in, kind of how you want it to look. But at least you're beginning to see how that looks like those reflections on the water, especially looking more realistic as they kind of loosen up when they get closer to us. So we're moving down the scale of colors. I guess mine are in like an S shape. So I'm going to start with white. I'm going to move to yellow, then orange, pink, and then purple will be last. But I'll show you guys what to do with the purple. So let's just do white, yellow, orange, and pink. So you can kind of take your time. And again, I'm going to put more yellow towards the top and a little less as I get further down. And then at the bottom, I'm going to have a little bit more orange and pink than I do at the top so that it makes sense. So you can see a little bit less yellow at the bottom and more towards the top. Looking great so far. And see, I can already tell I may want to come back and add more white later, but again, that's totally up to you guys and how you see it. So I think that this is good for yellow. Let me go ahead and throw on the orange so you can see it because the orange, I'm going to have a little bit more of it towards the center actually. So we're going to start here. I can put like a couple up there, but not many. And we'll mostly put them down here. And it's just going to look amazing. Hmm. Even when you mess up, see that? Still turns out really good. All right. I can see where I want to add a little bit more white. I'm going to work in some pink, not too much, because again, it's like pretty dark, this magenta pink that I have. So I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I'm going to just add in that pink and then kind of clean my brush and come back to see if there's any lighter colors I want like more embellished. Yes, I like it, but I do want to add a little bit more white kind of in between. So let me clean my brush, but it is looking pretty. Yeah, we'll add some more white. All right, I think I'm done with that. So that is that. Uh-oh, I think it's looking nice. I think it looks beautiful so far. So it's almost time for the details. I just want to add in a little bit more purple and kind of define this line up here before we do our actual details. And so before well, let's set our detail brush aside now, and we'll come back to it in a second. We're gonna switch now to the medium round blending brush for a moment. And just adding a few purple streaks into here too. But the reason why I want to do the medium round blending brush, because I do want it to blend a little bit better than the detail brush. And I also don't want it to take you a million years because there's a lot more area for the purple than the other colors. So I'm going to do the same thing that we did when we spread the purple in the first place, but I'm just going to do lines here with my medium round brush, just kind of slowly defining. You can see how I can take my time up here and kind of get the purple a little closer so we can see more of a horizon line for the water. And it's just light, kind of a tap of a stroke, but I want to keep it as horizontal as I can. So it's easier to just kind of pull it in from the sides very gently and just kind of strike it in like a match, I suppose. Still trying to keep it as horizontal as I can. Just giving it a little more depth, if you can see. Really selling the water. So shouldn't take too long because we used the medium round brush, but if you did decide to use your detail brush, just take your time. It takes a little bit longer. But you want to do that on both sides. And you can see how it kind of just gently brings everything in together a little bit more. And then just defines our water from our sky. That's the main focus of this step. So you can see there how that blends in. Very subtle. Oh, and once you've completed that step, go ahead and clean your medium round brush thoroughly. And make sure you get all of the water out because we're going to use it to lay the foundation for our little land masses next. I'm loving it. I think we're ready. So let me show you how the land masses are gonna go. And then after we get these like basic shapes down, we'll go ahead and put this brush away and focus on the details. Especially like the wine glasses might and the palm trees might take us a moment, but also this white detail. And then we still have to add some color to our moon now that it's most likely dry. So let's get started with some black. Again, I cleaned and dried this brush, so there's no water, no pigment or anything. And we're gonna take the black and I'm just gonna make a nice, I'm gonna go for it and just kind of start a little bit past the center of our open area here. And I'm just gonna curve a line over to the side like so. See if I can make it more prominent. Okay, sorry, I just went ahead and did the next part. So once you have your line, just go ahead and fill this section in with all black. I just went ahead and started doing it, but hopefully you did too. So we'll fill that all in like so. Beautiful. And we also need to make our little mass of land here, which is basically just going to be one stroke horizontally across. And then I just make like little bubbles for the mounds and kind of just scribble the brush around and it kind of happens. So let's go ahead and give us a nice line. I'm going to have it start closer to our lighter water reflecting area. And I'll just pull the brush back like so. Okay. And then we can just go for it. We can just add a bump here, add a big one there. We can add another here, however you like. But you can see now we have our little island. Wonderful. Look at that. We're all set. I think that looks great. Ready to go. So, and once you have this landmass how you like, you can go ahead and clean your medium round brush and set it aside because we won't be needing it anymore. And we will be using our detail brush to finish this thing. Not too bad. Well, let's see if we can add a few details. My suggest or I what we'll do, we'll start with black. We'll do our palm trees and we'll set this up because this is probably going to be the hardest part. And then once we set this up, we'll go ahead and we can fill that in and just do these details that are going to help us separate, what's happening on these land masses. So we'll do our palm trees first. So I have my detail brush and I'm going to use my black paint. And I'm going to make two little palm trees coming up off of the tallest mound here. And I'm just going to have a nice long line. You cut it this again, you just kind of have to go for it. It's okay if it goes off frame a little bit, but I'm just going to, once I have my trunk here, like so, I can start, playing around and adding some branches. Like they can kind of go like this if I want. Just so people know it's a palm tree, it doesn't have to be so accurate. I'm not even putting the little fronds or like the little leaves on the fronds, whatever they're called. Frond. Love it. That's the first tree. So my next tree, I'm going to have it arched like a little bit more in the other direction. It's a little too much paint. Okay. So I'll put her a little shorter over here. Like so, like a real island. Okay. And then we can add our fronds. And I start at the root and take my time lifting up pressure to get towards the outer edge. So that's a nice trick. Just taking our time, heavy pressure to light pressure. And it should look pretty good. Love it. So those are our trees. Now, the hard part. Our wine vase or vessel and glasses. Wine vessel, yes. That makes sense. Bottle. Goodness. So now. This is going to be where we really got to use our imagination. Only because we're not going to really see the boundaries of this bottle until we come back in with the white. So we just have to use our imagination to build the top of the bottle and the top of the glasses. The bottoms of the glasses will be built out with the white. So if I imagine that my bottle is sitting here, I really just need to do the arcing, like the arch before the bottleneck is just gonna be a nice little circle here. So I'm gonna add that like kind of half circle shape here on top of our mound and fill it in. I can even push it down like that to make it easier. So we have this nice little arch here and we filled it in. And then from there, I'm literally just making the letter T at the top. But the baseline of the T or like the root line, the stem of the T is going to be a little longer than you'd normally make it because you really do want it to look like the top of a wine bottle and get that kind of gooseneck look. So it's a taller base. Then you can see I hold my brush horizontally and I can literally just tap it to make the top of the T, like so. So you'll see the T like this. That's the first step. Now we need like two U's, the letter U. We're gonna obviously add the base. So I would start with the two letter U's for the two wine glasses, because then you know where everything else is gonna go in relation to that. So let's say we'll put one maybe a half an inch from our bottle here. And I'm just kind of, again, just go for it and kind of scoop around and make that U shape just like I would with a pencil. It should go pretty smoothly, like so. But my next U shape, it's going to be a little bit below it. So I'm going to follow the curve of my black line that I made and just kind of put it a little bit below along that line. So let's go ahead and make our second U. And probably maybe like another half an inch away. Not even. Perfect. Two little wine glasses are starting to form. So now what we need to add are just two little lines connecting the center, the bottom center of our U to our landmass here. So literally just a little vertical line here, a vertical line here. But then I'm also gonna put my horizontal lines. So let me show you. The vertical lines literally just connecting here, not too thick, and here, like so. But now when I make my horizontal lines, I need to make two of them. I need to make one at the top of each glass, but I also need to make one inside of each glass where the liquid is so that I can fill it in so it looks like it's half full. So I take my black still with the detail brush and I'm just gonna close the top of this as best I can. And this one too. Like so. And then let's go ahead and fill our liquid in, which I'm just gonna do my two lines inside of the glass, like so. And then I'm filling in that bottom half, which should be pretty easy. Love it. How beautiful. So that's our foundation. Now we just have to add our embellishments. So I feel like we're doing great. Once you have those wine glasses there, that's how it should look. Go ahead and clean all the black off of your detail brush. And make sure to get all of the water out as well for the next part. So I have, we're gonna put our yellow on our sun, but before we do that, let's add some white oh, you know what? Yeah, let's do our white embellishments on all of our details here, and then we'll go ahead and do the sun. So once you've cleaned this brush and got all the water out, we're gonna do white. And it's just very simple. I'm literally just gonna go along my tree, literally just like a little white over every branch and trunk, like so, just like a highlight. Very gentle, kind of going over what I already did, just a little. Just enough to make it look like the sun has touched it. Okay, so those are the leaves, and I'm gonna go in and do it on my trunks. Okay. But on my land mass, and also here, I'm gonna go along the edges, okay, of this area, like so. Just kind of making little arches facing that sun. But I'm also gonna put some lines underneath, like vertical lines here. Just kind of blend those in. But I can also kind of embellish this mountain a little bit more, really like sell it that it's a mountain there. So let me hold this close so you guys can really see how the details look. See how nice it looks? It's just like a simple white stroke over the top, but it does so much. So let's continue. Because this bottle is gonna probably be the bottle and the wine glasses are probably gonna be the hardest part for you. So, well, I don't know, maybe it won't. I literally am just gonna follow the T on this wine bottle and just kind of follow my little white line can go. It could be a little bit embellished like on the side. It doesn't have to cover the whole T. But at least now you can see where it is separated from the black background. But what I'm going to do when I get to the bottle is I literally am just going to define it. I'm going to go around this arch we already created, and then I'm just going to pull it down as far as I like until I feel like it looks like a bottle length. So like that's good. And I can do the same thing on the other side. You also, when you do this line at the bottom, you scoop it a little. But other than that, you just kind of bring your brush down and boom. You can even add a few more strokes in the center, really sell the circumference of it a little more. But it shouldn't take too much. It's just that you have to use your imagination where the bottle is. But you can see it a little better. So the same is true for the wine glasses. I'm actually going to do an upside down T for each wine glass. That's going to define the base and the stem. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of embellishment to the liquid inside and a little line along one of the edges. Let me show you guys how that should look. So, upside down T, like so. And that's it for that part. Nothing crazy. It's automatically going to show. But I can go along this side of the U shape and just add a little bit to the water and boom. It looks so realistic. See that? Just a little trick really makes it work. And now you can see everything against the black. It's really nice. So that's basically it. From here, I do go in with orange, or if you're feeling froggy, you can use, or sorry, I'm going in with yellow, but if you're feeling froggy, you can use like the orange or the pink. And I'm gonna fill in my sun with yellow, okay, and use some of that yellow to highlight off of these white areas, not a ton. But I can add like a little on the arches of things, if you want. And I can add like a little to my glass. Might even be nice to add a little orange if you have it extra. But yeah, I do this. Oh, also we can add some white along this edge too. I forgot about that. Before I forget. So you can do the same here, just along the edge here, just kind of this in. So I don't even think I did that in my first painting, just to kind of define this. That makes it real nice. Put a little orange maybe or yellow. Nice. I don't think I'm adding any more craziness, but this is all I'm going to add. It looks good though. I like it. So well, I can't wait to see your creations if you'd like to share. But if you are watching on YouTube and you enjoyed this today, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or share with a friend. And I thank you so much for joining us today. See you next week. Bye.